evening, everybody, and welcome to another fun-filled edition, stacked and packed edition of WrestleZone Unfiltered. Here, as always, with me. Hello, Paul, Canada's greatest export. How you doing, sir?
I'm cold.
Cold? And you just took your jacket off?
Well, I had no arms when I had my jacket on, so how can I emote if I have no arms?
Well, I mean, I'll clap for you. That's about the best I can offer. Let's tell you. Well, let's just dive right into it.
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Well, we'll start off because we got so much, no, not a lot, but I mean, there's a lot going on this week. So you said something about the Knockout Brothers being back in New Japan. Tell us about the Knockout Brothers because I've never seen them.
Oh, okay. For those who are unaware, the Knockout Brothers are a couple of what they call young lions that were sent away on excursion a couple years ago. So for those unfamiliar, they're basically a student of New Japan, like in NXT, and then they tell the person, go off into the world. And in this case, they went to like Germany. They went across Europe. They went like not traditionally like the big spots. They went and toured all these little spots. And recently they came back. And the reason there's such a big splash about it is Oscar is 6'4", 6'5", big, tall giant of a lad. And Yuto Ice is basically like if Ken Shamrock had the attitude of 96 Shawn Michaels, but dressed like a cholo. So lots of attitude out of this guy, lots of like the swagger, the way he walks. There's just it. Everyone went, before they even left, everyone went, that kid right there. So everyone's real kind of excited to see what kind of nonsense these two can get into.
Well, keep on talking because I'm trying to send Steve yet another link, and I'm listening to you. I promise I am.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just you got try to get some more people on here with us and yappy and all that good stuff. But for some odd reason, either it's his tech savvy skills or link ain't working. That's okay. It's all good. We shall see. So where can we see these guys on so I can
Well, if they're on New Japan, so if you can go to newjapanworld.com or find any other sources of watching the internet, you can just follow along any sort of the normal New Japan shows, and I think they're going to be a pretty big part of. Well, right now they just joined the Bullet Club, so they're going to be part of that stable. So you're probably going to see them in a lot of multi-mans for now. And knowing how New Japan likes to push these guys, they're going to push them to the tag championships, and then they're going to be one of them's going to be a Marty, and they're going to break up, and they're going to. But right now, it's like if you just start watching New Japan, they have their own streaming service. New Japan World is super easy to find. But yeah, just start watching along, and it's hard to miss these two. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've told you before. I used to watch when I was able to watch New Japan. I got it on the same network that TNA's on, which is Access TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't seen that in forever, so I have no idea. I'm assuming it's still a thing. Hell, I don't know. But
honestly, they make it so much easier to watch now with New Japan World because it's New Japan World currently is what WWE Network was. So what I love to do is if you sign up for New Japan World, they have a little search bar. You can type in your favorite WWE or WCW star and see what matches they have. Because one day I was doing that and I put in Owen Hart. Well, here there's 5 or 6 matches from Owen Hart from the 80s. Oh, who shall not be named. You type him in. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff. There's Eddie Guerrero. So I would totally recommend New Japan World. I would totally not recommend any other ways of watching it, but it's super convenient to watch on their website. So I would recommend that for anybody who's trying to get into it.
I would be interested to see the dates because I know that I'm not sure if Vince had already taken his hiatus or what, but I know that's why. I know everybody thinks it was because he wanted the first ever AEW pay-per-view, and I'm sure that might have been part of it. But I know he really wanted that Ring of Honor library when they went up for sale, and Tony bought that. And to be quite honest with you, I almost, with what Tony's done with it, I almost wish they would have just bought it and put it on the network with the rest of it. All right, everybody, hold on. We're gonna move my headphones and talk to Steve real quick and see what's going on with his technology. Yes, sir. You're live on the air with WrestleZone Unfiltered.
Absolutely.
Oh no, we've devolved into a call-in show.
Oh, it didn't send the link she could click on. Wants to sign into Yard Stream or something.
No, all you got, you don't have to.
One you sent was empty.
If you don't click it, just copy and paste it into the browser. Just copy it and paste it to the browser.
Copy and paste it in the browser?
Yeah.
She did.
All right. Well,
I just clicked it.
Yeah. Hold on, man. We'll go back and we'll go back and try one more.
Because you had to send me another one a couple weeks ago. We didn't. What happened? I was fine doing on this thing.
I can tell you, but I'm not sure you would understand.
I know I would.
Do you want to know what it is?
What?
It's a DFU problem.
That is user error.
That's a nice way to put it, I guess.
Yeah, that's polite.
Let's see.
It was me. I'm talking about myself being user error. Why the hell you think I got you doing this?
Mm-hmm. All right. This has a link, and here it comes. This guy, I made it blue for you.
All right, he sent the link. He said he made it blue. Yeah.
Yeah,
as you can see, I did not try to postpone this at all with Miami being on TV because I have no faith in them.
You'll be surprised if they end up upsetting them.
Yeah. We shall see.
Between that and you winning the Powerball, what do you think? You got a better chance of Miami upsetting Buffalo or you winning the Powerball?
Probably me winning the Powerball.
That's probably true.
How are we coming? Are you working your way back to me, babe?
I'm working away. I wasn't going to get away. She's trying to talk to you through the thing now.
Oh, hold on. Let me back away from the... Paul, talk to our audience while I back away from the microphone.
Do the thing. Oh, okay. You gave me a live microphone. You done goofed up. Did
you see the link?
Something I really want to talk about is last week. They had a remove the mask battle royal. Yeah, greatest thing I've ever seen. They had about 10 people wearing the same luchador masks. Put them in the ring, and how you eliminate them is you forcefully remove their mask. Sounds silly. It was silly. It was the silliest thing you're ever going to see. Honestly, it was the most sports entertained I've been in a very long time.
I just sent you a new one
and it's all the same usual suspects, let's say, in New Japan, like Robbie Eagles was there, Harley Jackson was there, Great Khan was there, Taguchi was there, Jado, Gato, like all the guys. Even Red Shoes had the mask on. Tiger Mask had a mask over his mask. Great. It was all great comedy. Great comedy. So if people haven't seen it, it was on the same show that had the Hunky Boy elimination match. For those who don't know the rules to that stipulation, because it's a very famous stipulation that we all should know. Basically, for the Hunky Boy match, they put out a vote online to who were the hunkiest boys on the New Japan roster, and they just picked the top. That's 10 maybe, or something like that. But anyway, yeah, and that was the whole gimmick. Is they had 3 girls on commentary, and they would make a fuss over everybody. And how can you not? How can you not?
Right, what happens when you click the link?
It's just absolute silliness, ridiculous.
All right, you.
Also, last week
you got hit.
Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tano Yuro. Yeah, I said that wrong. But
There you are.
anyway,
All you had to do.
Yano versus Tana. Here we go.
Oh, leave me alone.
No.
You know what the problem was, Paul?
That combined your ages like 197.
No, but he kept telling me the link wasn't working, and then he was telling. I said, "What do you see, man?" Yeah, he's like, "I see." I'm like, "Just fucking click on Enter Studio." God damn. And that was the issue. Okay, so I guess he's going to put his camera up here in a minute. So everybody, you got to love when dinosaurs work with technology.
We're getting there. We're trying.
We are on the move tonight. So I heard you. I heard there he is. Yay!
Hold on. Hercules. So
I heard
or better yet, for what we do. Hello, ladies.
Well, shit. Have you seen him lately?
I don't understand.
Y'all look a lot alike.
Something.
It's your daily dose of Val's Venus.
Like I said, have you seen him lately? Y'all got about the same figure these days.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I'm sure he ain't got no hair.
No, he don't have no hair, and he looks like he's pushing every bit of about 320.
Guys, come on. He was 30 years ago. Like, can we have a little bit of forgiveness when it comes to body issues?
I'm sure he's put down a few hot dogs in those.
Not everyone can be Diamond Dallas Page or Eric Bischoff. You know what I mean? Like, have you seen them? They're in their 70s, are jacked.
Well, look at Nash. Look at the damn shape Kevin Nash is in. Hell, he's in better shape now than he was when he wrestled.
I heard this was years ago that there was a stereotype that when you got rich, you either got fit or you got fat because you have a lot of free time on your hand now that you're rich. And that's why you see certain like band members get fat and certain people like, oh, he got ripped. He got fat.
Well, Vince Neil looks like the damn abominable snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer these days.
Only thing with those guys like Nash and Bischoff, they're just gray as a wolf. I mean, they got gray everywhere.
They also don't have to do wellness testing, so that's a different issue altogether.
Well, Bischoff, I did know this before he ever got like very whatever you want to call it in WCW because he was part of the AWA. I did know that he was he was some kind of karate tournament winner and knew a certain amount of martial arts before he ever became
if I remember correctly, Eric Bischoff is a legitimate black belt in karate.
Yeah.
Like legitimate, no one sort of argues it. They're like, yeah.
Well, that's where Ernest the Cat Miller came from. Was he was Bischoff had fought him in tournaments and loved his personality in the karate tournaments.
Yeah. Wow.
What I heard was Ernest became Eric's kid's personal karate coach or something like that.
Yep. After he met him in tournament.
That type of name takes you back to like Bad News Brown, and that's.
Oh, no, you got to go back further. You're going to talk about Bad News. We got to have the original Bad News. That was Bad News Allen, baby. That you thought he was something in WWE. You should have seen his ass in the territory, especially in Florida. That man was whooping.
Someone should bring back. That'd be a good name for someone.
That man was whooping everybody's ass.
It's kind of generic compared to now, though.
Yeah, it's like you go back and all that stuff that we enjoyed years ago, and people will talk about the spots and the chances they take in matches and some of the stuff they do. It's like, you can talk about shit all you want, but there's a lot of stuff that makes it on TV today that that's on TV today that I'm not sure a lot of that stuff that we used to watch would make it on TV these days.
I told Jason when I used to watch at I think it was the Dark Side of the Ring on Vice or something, one of those things.
Dark Side of the Ring? Is that
I was telling him about
Dark Side of the Ring.
What's that guy's name, Jason? We talk about Nick something, the guy with the light bulb, and he got stabbed in the.
Oh, Nick Gage. Nick Gage, yeah, the one that they were all in.
They were talking some of those death matches where they use those light bulbs, and I'm not talking about Terry Funk and.
Well, there was a guy named Nick Mondo, and he was famous for he took a weed whacker. Turned it on to the abs. Best part was
I saw one match. He had a chainsaw.
He gets hit with a weed whacker. You think that's the end of the match? No, the guy throws the weed whacker up, picks the guy up for a move, then does a move 1, 2, 3. The weed whacker's the finish.
I
You don't
mean-
need to pick him up and do a power bomb after. Like,
Those matches with barbed wire as ring ropes and fluorescent light and Jericho and Ambrose were part of that. They were in those matches too. They were part of them.
Well,
So
yeah,
the-
That guy Nick
Gage
Gage was like the king of the death matches.
it's like this is where I kind of like I feel weird because I like some of it, so it's hard. Okay, so there's a lot of horror movies that are absolute smut, but there's one or two horror movies that are just brilliant, artistic, like the original Chainsaw Massacre. Artistic, beautiful. If you go watch some like old Terry Funk, Satoshi Onita death matches, chef's kiss, beautiful. A lot of modern death matches just hostile. Saw, you know what I mean? It's like gore for gore's sake. There's no like rhythm, there's no story, there's no like, oh, I felt something. It was like, oh,
Yeah,
I mean, we talked about that last week because, we were talking about, like you can go on AEW TV and watch good matches, but it's some of the stuff they do to each other. There's no backstory behind why they would want to go to that length to do some of the stuff they do to each other.
and some people feel pressured that they have to do some of this stuff because if they don't, like, this is no one's saying this to them. This is internally. Well, if I don't turn it up a notch, I'll get overshadowed by all the other great people. So I got to take this bigger bump and this bigger bump. It's like,
Yeah, that's like I'm Paul and I are in the ring together, and I'm like, Paul, take these fluorescent tubes and bash them over me, and cut me wide open, make sure there's blood gushing out everywhere and stuff. I mean, I guess it's for the fans. They do it because the fans are chanting. They come to these, what are those backyard? They're like in the middle of a field. Most of those matches were like just a field, and a homemade ring, barbed wire for ring ropes, and just.
So that's usually the giveaway if it's going to be a good hardcore match, because there's old like UWF shows and like really good Japanese hardcore death match. First thing, it's in an arena and it has an actual ring. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Yeah.
green flags. If it's in a backyard, that's a red flag. If it doesn't have a ring, I think it's a red flag. I'm not too big on ringless wrestling, but I know some people doing it, so I guess I don't know. I'm like warming up to it. But it's like, count the red flags and know like maybe this is good, maybe this isn't. Do you see paramedics on site? If you do, that is a green flag.
Yeah.
Because if you go to Raw, if you go to any WWE house show, if you're lucky, you'll go, oh, there's 2 or 3 paramedics sitting here hanging out. They probably don't have anything to do today because it's, they're safe, but they have to have them for big shows.
And they're usually in the back where nobody can see them. If you're in a field, like you said, with a fake ring in the field and you see a couple of ambulances parked over there, it's like, wait a minute. Hang on a second here.
I've seen those at some bigger indie shows. Like, okay, I know I'm going to insult my favorite group, but when New Japan and Ring of Honor was here 10 years ago, they get 2,000 people in a little tiny arena, but you could see, because it's a little arena, that there's 2 paramedics, like 2 trucks or whatever you want to call them out the back. And you're like, oh, okay. These guys are legit. These guys are pros. They have to have it. Fair enough.
Well, Nick Gage, you talk about him. He was part of my favorite wrestling spot in the past. I don't know, at least 5 years, maybe a little bit longer.
That should be in like wrestling Hall of Fame moments.
The Domino's pizza cutter with Jericho. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like
Perfect television.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was coincidence, but if it wasn't, if somebody actually planned that out, I take my hat off to you.
I think it was too perfect to be planned.
Well,
I think it was an inside job, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the Domino's thing, the way they said Domino's is one of those companies that they don't come when they buy advertising on your channel, that there might be a show or two that they want to make sure they get in under, but then the rest of them they're just like, yeah, just put the rest of them wherever. It wasn't like they specifically bought time during Dynamite. That's another reason they were so damn mad about it.
Talking about
hysterical.
Talking about the cutting, that just made me think, and I'm having a brain fart. Who was the guy that cut David Arquette?
That was Nick Gage.
That was Nick Gage.
That was Nick Gage. Okay.
But if I remember correctly, that specific incident you're mentioning was an accident.
because I think he cut him on his
Yeah, he
mouth.
was,
He cut the corner of his mouth or something.
But if
No,
I
he
remember
got him
correctly,
in the
he
neck.
like he had him down and he had the glass to his forehead, and it was Dave Arquette who moved. Like, you're supposed to sit there and you work around me, but Dave Arquette went like this or something, and it got
Yeah,
him.
because I remember his interview. He's like, "Look, I'm an actor. I don't want my face all cut up and scarred up and everything like that." And then it just went to kind of hell in a
And
handbag
I think
after
Dave
that.
Arquette got caught in the throat one time because
Yeah, that was the one we're talking about where he got.
Oh, fair. Sorry, I
No,
thought it was.
no, it was against Nick Gage, but yeah, he
bad in the throat.
they had it worked out to where they were supposed to have this hardcore match, this brutal death match thing, and I don't remember the exact situation how it happened, but there was something in Nick Gage's hand, and it winded up cutting Arquette
Well, because in theory, if we're playing along, I can take a knife and put it to your throat and just kind of hold it there. I don't have to put the blade to your throat. I can just hold the knife here, let's say.
If I remember correctly, I thought it was a pizza cutter. I thought it was a pizza cutter.
It might have been a pizza cutter. I'm just using this for imagery.
Yeah.
But you can do this safely.
I thought it was one of those. I thought it was one of the glass off one of those light tubes. But y'all keep talking. I'll look at it.
But if you freak out, because obviously you might be, there's a lot of blood and action going on. But if I hold this here and you go like that,
yeah, I mean it's a two-way street. You're expecting your opponent, to look out for you, but you got to do your job too. If you're going to sit there and twitch and jerk and everything,
I think he admits it. I think he said, "Oh no, that was me. That wasn't Nick." Like, we had planned this and that.
He cut him up. He cut him up pretty good.
Well, here's what happened. Okay, just give you a quick thing. Arquette was a last-minute appearance replacement for Joey Ryan. That's because all that stuff that went down with Joey Ryan, if you remember.
It's not a good start already.
Yep. The injury occurred when Gage smashed a fluorescent light tube over Arquette's head. Arquette, seemingly panicked by the real nature of the violence, went off script and tried to execute a takedown. During the struggle, a piece of the broken light tube sliced Arquette's neck. Gage, initially thinking he had killed him, realized it was a deep but not fatal cut. Arquette got pissed off while he was bleeding. He briefly exited the ring before returning and continuing. Following the match, he was taken to the hospital and underwent surgery for the wound, which required multiple stitches. In the years since, both wrestlers maintain there are no hard feelings, with Arquette acknowledging he was in over his head. Arquette later sent Gage a king-size mattress as a gift, and then completely retired.
That's expensive, man. That's crazy money.
And then completely retired from the wrestling industry.
Because I remember that part about him when he got cut and he saw the blood. That's when he got pissed off and thought that Gage did something he wasn't supposed to do, and then he just freaked out, like Paul said, and started.
The way I was reading,
and honestly, yeah, like seeing your own blood, like especially if it's a lot, you're gonna freak out, man. Like, I do love the idea of him going for a single leg. There's all this glass and blood and tags. It's like, go for the double, bro. They're going.
Yeah, beings were on the subject of Arquette. Eric Bischoff took so much hell for putting the world title on him. Now, granted, it was Bischoff had the final say, but do you remember whose idea it was?
I might be wrong. I might be confusing this story, but was it Mean Gene's?
Nope.
Was it Russo's?
Nope.
Okay, I want to say I'm gonna give a half answer. I want to say it was given as a joke. Like, oh, why don't we just put it on this guy? And someone went.
Was it an announcer?
Yep.
Oh, was it a?
No.
Jerry Lawler?
No, he wasn't there. It's WCW, brother.
Oh, that's right.
And thoughts out to Jerry Lawler, who did recently have another stroke. So
yeah, I saw that.
Make a long story short, we trying to keep this short tonight. So make a long story short, they were in the back, and somebody made the joke because of the way the match was set up to put the title on Arquette, and Bischoff laughed and said, "We can't do that." And Tony Schiavone spoke up and said, "Why the hell not? Nobody would expect it."
Schiavone.
And so you can blame old Tone for that one.
I mean, he's not technically wrong.
Well, Bischoff, he's like, Tony was so damn serious. I looked at him. I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm serious. Why the hell can't we? Nobody's going to expect it. It's not like we're going to make him look better than than the guys. You got to set it up right to be done right, but it's going to shock.
It was an accident that he won.
Shock. He goes, you're gonna get your shock stuff that you like every week. He goes, and
only thing that made that better is if Arquette would have won it with the fingertip.
Finger poke of doom. Well, I mean, hell, Hogan, for all the shit he catches, he did lay down for Billy Kidman, and Billy Kidman won a whole lot bigger than Arquette. So, if any.
See, and that you talk about people laying down. That's where you and I have talked about before. Knowing how Brock is, change subject a little bit. We're talking laying down, and I did not know this until Jason told me. He told me that it was Brock's idea for Goldberg to beat the hell out of in a 2-minute match. Spear and a jackhammer. This is Brock Lesnar we're talking about. What are you?
Well, I mean, if you think about what he said, it made a lot of sense. He said that, his character went in there not taking Goldberg seriously because Goldberg had not wrestled in 12 years. So he thought he was going to go in there and do to Goldberg what Goldberg did to him. And, he went in there cocky and instead of making himself, his thing was if he wrestled Goldberg for 10 or 12 minutes after Goldberg not wrestling for 12 years, that would make him look bad. But if he let Goldberg catch him off guard really quick, it would make a whole lot more sense because of who he was in the wrestling business, that somebody could not wrestle for 12 years and come in and beat him, but they caught him off guard. And that way he would be ready for their next encounter to get his comeuppance, as they used to say. So yeah, that was the way he explained it. And once he did, I'm like, damn, he ain't wrong.
See, I understand. I know Brock's immediate logic. He looked at the contract and said, am I being paid by the hour? And they said no. And he's like, 3-minute match. Get me out of here.
Spear, jackhammer, 3 count.
Get me home to my kids. I want to teach them how to suplex people. Let's go.
I have to go back to Halloween Havoc with the actual WCW with DDP to get the better match out of Goldberg than what Gunther got out of him for however long he's been off. I mean, God bless you, Gunther. I didn't think you had it in you, but that was all you, brother. And I tip my cap to you, sir. I mean, what do you got?
That was an extreme match for Goldberg. If that wasn't his best match of all time out of all of them, it was in the top 3.
And switching gears, going to older people, Paul, I already know Meaty didn't watch Dynamite last night, even though I've told him to do his homework. Did you watch Dynamite last night?
I'm gonna say I watched most of Dynamite because honestly, there's a couple segments that I was like,
okay, there's only one. If you watched it, you didn't turn the channel. You might have been off the channel, but if you were on it, you didn't turn it for this one. Did you see the Edge and Christian FTR segment?
You're going to hate me for saying this. People are going to hate me for saying this. 0 heat for that match. Don't care whatsoever for some reason. I don't know. I saw FTR in the ring and went. Did
you see the segment, like the whole segment?
I like I said, I sort of saw that they came out when it's Edge and Christian.
Well,
just skip a little bit. So why don't you run down what happened?
It was, Christian's just, I don't know, man. His character. I mean, he's for the first time in his career, he's outshining Edge when they're together. I mean, it's just that dry, whatever. When FTR first came out, because Edge and Christian came out first, Christian just standing there smug as ever, and I'm just sitting there, I'm kind of giggling because I'm watching him, and they go back and forth, and Stokely's going, I've already cleared it with Tony Khan. If you touch FTR, it's $100,000 a piece. And if you touch me, it's $500,000. And Edge was like, Stokely, for $500,000, you might actually get some hoes. And so they go through their whole promo, and then they get to the end. The only time Christian had ever said a word was when Edge was talking about, you think you're this, you think you're that.
You know me.
We were doing, more than what you think you've done 25 years ago. Hell, they named a pay-per-view after what we were doing. And Table, Ladders, and Chairs, TLC.
Oh, I was going to say, oh my God, what kind of nonsense were they getting into that they called the pay-per-view SummerSlam?
So they...
What you did, those poor girls, oh my God.
And, Edge was like, and when we get you in the ring, you're going to find out just how good Cope and Christian reached over and grabbed the mic, Christian and Cope, and then pushed the mic back to him. And then they get to the end of the segment, and Christian takes the mic. He's like, for a lot of people, $100,000, that's a lot of money. Hell, $500,000 is even more. But you know what? I'm a rich asshole and I just don't care. And then, of course, the brawl breaks out and they go at him. Well, Taz said something about, the blood on Dax when they all the pull apart happened. And I'm telling you, he's going to go in Saturday. I think it was Christian. It might have been Edge. I don't know. It might have been one of the security. You don't know. But somebody broke Dax's nose last night. That you could already see the eyes swelling up on Dax Harwood. I was like, and he looked.
Did they bring Spike out at least or not?
No Spike. But
there's a way that the nose kind of bleeds when the nose broken that you can go, there it is.
Yeah. When they were like the end of the segment's over and Dax and Cash and Stokely are kind of like standing on the ramp, backing up very slowly, or just standing there, and they zoomed in on the three of them. They didn't but you could see on it, he looked legitimately pissed off. And yeah, you could, there was no doubt that man's nose was broken. I was like, dude.
Honestly, I've met people that are like the calmest, chillest dudes, like gals that are wrestlers, and you can hit them, like you can legit punch them. And if it's like here, they don't care how hard it is, but they could fall weird on their face just gently, and it just changes people. There's something about getting like that injury. Just back up, give them some room. Nothing's gonna change how mad they are.
Did you guys happen to watch Orton and McIntyre, and Orton in the ring screaming and cussing? 25 years, nobody's ever goddamn slammed me in the ropes like that. He was legitimately pissed at McIntyre. I don't know if McIntyre lost his balance or something, but when he slammed Orton and his legs and we're all feet in the rope, and Orton was in, and he no sold it at all. He jumped up and he's slamming around the ring, and you could hear him. The mics were picking up what he was saying. I've never seen somebody that legitimately pissed, except for, there was Orton, a couple matches
again, but with Kingston. Wasn't there a match where I want to say Eddie Kingston, but it's not Eddie Kingston. It's what's the fella Kingston in the New Day? Kofi Kingston.
Kofi Kingston.
Thank you. But there was a match with Kofi Kingston where something went wrong, and Randy was just like, "Stupid."
Yeah,
you're stupid.
Well, remember that match? I think it was it Shawn Michaels and Vader, or Shawn Michaels and somebody else, where Shawn was going to come off the top rope and Vader move. Shawn just jumps down and kicks him.
Yeah, kicks him right on the ground.
Right in the balls. Like right here.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Vader
is not the person to be doing that with.
Well, he was not the Vader in WWE that he was in WCW.
He was not Big Van Vader. That's
well, not only that, but he left. He exited WCW, by getting his ass beat by Paul Orndorff in front of the entire locker room. And, then he gets over there, and the people that are on top, and Jim Ross has talked about it. He's like, he goes, I loved Leon. Leon was a good dude. He said, but he just wouldn't listen. He's like, he would, he goes, Leon was a big man. He goes, and, if you're a big guy, he goes, now I'm a big guy, but I wasn't as big as Leon. He goes, but you sweat a lot. And he goes, people did not want to work with Leon over here because most people were at least professional when it came to the in-ring stuff. He goes, but out of the ring, that's a different story. He goes, but in the ring, they were professional. He did say, he goes, even Shawn. he made sure he put that in there. He said, but Leon would not wash his gear. He said Shawn hated. Shawn hated working with him. He said Shawn was. He said, he was like, yeah, Shawn is the reason that Vader got replaced by Sid in that program. But he goes, I told him, Leon, when you get back to the room, just soak the shit, man. Let it dry on the way to the next town. He goes, he wouldn't do it. He goes, he was a big dude. He goes, and I got close to him a few times. They were right. He stunk.
Yeah, the video clip of that, Shawn literally just came down and kicked him right square. You could tell how pissed off he was. He was it was like, what I was like, we were talking about Goldberg. They used to hate Goldberg because if you ever watched him in the ring, he always spit and he always blew his nose things out in the ring and on the ring mat. And he would do all that. And people were like, dude, what are you doing? We got to roll in this. We got to land in this stuff. We don't want to land in all your boogers and snot and
Well,
stuff.
and that goes back to what Tony Khan gets accused of a lot, not being a boss. And that's for the upper echelon to do. You don't. There's some things the boys need to police, but when it's something like that, that's when you get the boss needs to pull him aside and go, dude, you gotta stop that shit.
Here's a weird observation that I've noticed with people. Wrestlers in general, if they're working and like you get hit, people want to spit sometimes when they get really hit. So if you spit on the mat, a lot of the times people don't care because they'll be like, oh, whatever, the heat of the moment. But if you spit in like on camera or in front of like a family, you know what I mean? Like if I do this, that's bad. That's gross. You know what I mean? But if it's one of those moments where you're just like, bam, puh, they're like, whatever. But it's like, it's such a weird nitpick because I hate when people spit. You'll see them in matches. They're all beat up. They go into the corner and they go, puh, and they spit out the corner. And it's the most disgusting thing. Like, guys, do it on the back. Do it on the back part of the ring. Don't face the hard cam.
Yeah, and just think of Goldberg taking his nostril and putting the and just
that's
and blowing.
universally disliked, as far as I know. No one likes that.
When it comes to MJF, you don't know. You really don't. It's hard to draw the line where he's in character or actually being serious. But at the first ever All In, when he was world champion, he defended. I forgot which New Japan star he defended against that night, but he was the first match, and later down the road, it was like a couple weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, somebody asked him, like, dude, you're the world champion. Why in the hell did you go on first? He was like, I wanted to get the hell out of there, and I was not rolling around in that ring with Mox's Hep C blood all over it. I wanted to go first before that happened. I was like, oh, damn. Okay. All right.
He actually just said that. Oh, my God.
Yeah, he did. He's
Well,
I don't
you
want
can't
to
say the
roll around.
kayfabe reason, which is the belt isn't important right now. That's important right now. We can, but that's a perfect kind of kayfabe reason. Like, it makes him sound like a piece of shit, and it sounds true. I don't want to roll in blood and spit.
That was when Moxley was even bleeding every week on TV, and they finally, I guess, after enough backlash, whether it was the network, the fans, because a lot of fans like, all right, look, enough's enough. Bleed when it's important, not on a match with Danny Garcia on Dynamite.
You got to go back to your Terry Funk and your Cactus Jack and your Abdullah the Butcher. I mean, all you had to do was look at. You could look at Abdullah cross-eyed and he'd start bleeding. You didn't even have to touch him.
Maybe I'm just romanticizing the past, but I don't think I've ever seen worse matches as far as hardcore and blood goes than in the States, mind you, than was with Abdullah and Bruiser Brody. They beat the ever-loving dog shit at you.
That might also apply to Japan. Like that very specific matchup, they had those same type of matches in Japan too. So it's still hard to beat. You know what I mean? It's still hard to be more.
If they didn't lose pints of blood apiece, and I mean, and even to this day, kind of similar to Dusty. As Dusty got older, and you talk to him and interview him, he still has these massive, deep scars where he cut himself with a razor, and Abdullah has them even worse. His whole forehead looks like a road
over his head.
He can put a credit card in it and it'll stick up.
Well, little known fact, a lot of people don't know this about Flair. Some do, but Flair bled a lot and he cut himself. But the reason he did not look like Dusty, whenever Flair was injured, Ricky Boy was getting some plastic surgery. He was getting that shit taken care of. So when he came back, that's he'd look. So after however long it'd been, and it was starting to add up through here.
But here's
Rick would mysteriously get
styling
injured.
and profiling.
Here's a little working trick. Rick didn't have to blade as much, like physically, because he had blonde hair.
Blonde hair. Yep. I mean,
so it absorbed in the hair, and half his head would be. So in theory, Eddie Guerrero, black hair.
Yeah, he had to make it look worse. But
give it a bit more.
Same
Flair,
with Dusty. Dusty had his. I mean, he didn't have as much hair as Flair did, but the same with Dusty. When he cut his forehead and that blonde hair, and it would just kind of seep into it and look like his whole head was bleeding.
And you want to see somebody that looks like they were about to die in the ring? I forgot what the hell they even called the match, but it was in Atlanta. It was in the Omni. I want to say it was 1981. It might have been.
Yo,
82.
it was a Texas Tornado versus Jerry
No,
Lawler.
no, that was Kerry's stupidity, not a match.
Wasn't
Not
that the
because-
one where they're like, no, it's a loss of blood. Super
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, see, that was Supercard 3 when they were doing the unification.
Yeah,
But no,
that's what I remember. That finish of like, no, you
specific
win.
one I'm talking about is I want to say it was called the Battle of Atlanta. I can look it up. It don't matter what the name of it is, you can find it. But you're talking about the blonde hair. You know, when Tommy Rich was such a white meat baby face when he was, young, and that southern accent, that southern drawl. And man, when him and Buzz Sawyer went at it in the Omni, like so I want to say it was 81. I mean, Tommy Rich looked like he should be dead. There was so much, that his hair looked like he had that much blood coming out of that white bleach blonde hair. So there's a little hardcore match to go back and watch. Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer and Tommy Wildfire Rich from the Omni in Atlanta.
No, but you're right about Abdul and Bruiser Brody. That by far, if you don't like the sight of blood, you do not want to watch that match.
And then you go back as far as like the Gaijin that did real well in Japan that they could have done something with here was when Doc and Gordy got put together as a tag team over there. I mean, they had great matches over there, and they got a very tiny run over here. WCW.
Honestly, that could be a whole topic of a podcast because it's like Dr. Death had a great run in All Japan with Baba, comes to WWF, nothing. Vader, and my favorite in this category is Scott Norton was an IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
He comes back to the States, B team, get on you.
A legit badass and strong dude.
Dude, good worker, solid worker.
That looked like he could beat your ass. It wasn't an Eric Bischoff type thing to where you might like go hide somewhere if he actually won the fight because of what he looked like. But Scott Norton looked like he could whoop your ass.
He was part of that group that went to Korea on that trip with Flair and Scott Norton when they went to Korea, and they all got like confined to their rooms. And Norton is like, the hell with this. I mean, like say, he's a big stocky dude. And, Bischoff goes out for a jog in the morning, first thing, which he always does. And he gets caught by the military. And Norton and them have guards standing outside. I mean, that story was crazy.
To give context, Norton and all those guys were in Japan at the time when it was allegedly notoriously overrun by the Yakuza. So if you wanted to be anybody or be anywhere, you'd have to schmooze with some of these ruffians. So
the gangsters they had.
So if Scott Norton rolls with some of those guys, but then is perturbed with North Korea, how bad is it?
Well,
we've got nice. This guy's
we've got both those pay-per-views coming up Saturday. One during the day, and the wrestle we got All Out coming during the day at 3:00. Then we got Wrestlepalooza. From what I've been hearing this morning, I hadn't really looked at it. I thought this one was supposed to be directly on ESPN.
I did see there's some confusion about how to watch this pay-per-view.
I thought it was free. You didn't need the app. It was free on ESPN. It's just their first one to like get it going.
I thought it was free on ESPN, and then the way I looked at it today, from what they were saying, was it was still going to be free, but you had to get the app. And I'm like, what the hell? So
it won't be on like a channel. It'll be only streamed through the website.
I think it's like that ESPN Plus with the college football games where you want to watch the Appalachian States, where ESPN Plus will cover those little dog doo-doo college games. But you can get that. But
I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out. But I mean, we got that. You got the mixed tag team match, which I think will be interesting. You flip back to the other one, and it's like I don't see Tony getting pinned. It's possible, but I do see one of them other women coming out with the world title because she's done beat everybody. So it's like you got to freshen it up a little bit. And maybe Tony's still over, but give her somebody to chase instead of chasing her because she has done beat everybody.
I would say.
Did you guys hear the latest about Tiffany? They may have to strip her of the title because of not being medically cleared. She supposedly hurt herself in that Nia Jax attack a week or so ago. That's why they replaced her last night or Tuesday night in NXT because Tiffy came out with Stephanie Bakura and Rhea But then they put Lyra Valkyria in that 6-woman tag match because Tiffy hadn't been cleared, and supposedly she's got some type of substantial injury where they may be talking about stripping the title from her.
Okay, well, I don't care about Tiffany. I don't care about Lyra Valkyria. And, y'all can disagree with me and listing land all you want. I don't care. But I'm going to tell you, I don't care what we see Friday night on SmackDown. I don't care what we see Saturday afternoon at All Out. I don't care what we see Saturday night at WrestlePalooza. There will not be a spot on TV this weekend that was better than the double Rhea Ripley, Stephanie McCool.
Yes.
At
Yes.
the same time, up and down
Yes.
on that mat. That's the best spot of the week.
Rhea Ripley is now my second favorite after going the double boom boom with Stephanie. They looked at each other, they put it on, and Rhea looked fantastic. Stephanie looks ungodly well. And they did the double banger. Oh my God, that was the best.
You're all a bunch of gooners, I tell you.
My nanny's got a little hard.
No, boo, no.
Hey, Steve, can you see the comments?
Yeah, where? Yeah.
Over here. You can see them. All right, Deshaun wants to know if you're really the brother of Otis. I'll let you answer that one.
We are not blood, but we are related
Bonded through war.
Yes, we are related in a tree, but we're not blood. So,
Are you sure about that? Because them eggs look a lot alike.
yeah.
I mean, so I don't know, man. But
I did not teach him to do the caterpillar either. He learned that himself.
Step brother, look at that.
Second cousin, twice removed, something like that.
That's right. And
but,
then he taught Maxine Dupree how to do it. So
we kind of briefly touched on Edge and Christian and FTR. I think it'll be a good match. Like I said, it's rumored that Edge's contract is going to be up on the 25th, or and I think the finish of that match is going to depend on if his contract's really coming up, or if he's had injury time added. I don't know. Just rumor. Not how rumors are. Don't know.
And what's funny is I have zero heat for that match, but I still think it's going to be a good match. Those are four great workers. I just personally, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I will tell you what they did real well. I thought last night was, and Musty he might he might stay, he might not. It's just a matter of if he's re-signed. If it doesn't matter though. One way or the other, whatever, it'll work out. But what I thought they did real well last night, it was last night, was I don't think Paige is going to lose that title, but the way they did it at the beginning, Kyle Fletcher was actually really, really good in that spot. And I'm sitting there, I mean, they had me looking at the TV going, damn, could they actually put that belt on Kyle Fletcher?
And that's what they wanted.
I know,
they're not going to. But they want you to think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, they did a good job with that. I mean, between the beginning with those two, and then the ending with the Callis family attacking Paige, and Kyle Fletcher living up to his word of leaving him laying before the night was out. But he was a man of his word. He wasn't going to do it then and there, but by the end of the night he would. But like I said, the way Kyle was coming across and talking with that confidence, I'm just like, yeah, damn, are they going to put that belt on Kyle Fletcher? I don't think so, but. And I guess there's a possibility. So, it's just
he's in that group. I don't know what I want. Let's just call it the future. There's a handful of people where you can just go, that guy.
But you talk about you didn't really care. You didn't see a lot of heat with the FTR, stuff.
Yeah, it's just me. I don't know.
I understand it because what I mean, I like MJF and I like Mark Briscoe, but this whole thing with them is I don't care. Can we just move on?
Yeah, there's some of them that they're not using in the right way. Is Will Ospreay still hurt? Is he still?
He's going to be out for about a year.
Basically, permanently hurt.
Okay.
That's a shame.
That's a shame. That's a shame right there because they've got talent with Kyle Fletcher. I mean, these guys could literally be the Seth Rollins, of AEW. Because they just. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of AEW because I just don't really like how they use what talent they have.
Right. You know what? They got a lot of talent they don't use. They got some talent. I mean, this goes for both companies. We're specifically talking about AEW right now. They got some talent that they don't use correctly. They got some talent they don't use. And then it comes to the goddamn Death Riders. If I have to see the Death Riders or hear about the Death Riders one more time, I am so sick of the Death Riders. Go ahead, Paul. Say Death Riders. Death Riders. Death. I gotta hear.
Oh my God! Don't you love the Death Riders? Don't you love Marina Shafir?
Oh my God.
Wheeler Yuta. Don't you love Wheeler
Yuta?
Back
up. Wheeler, well, we know they're replacing him with Daniel Garcia. We see that.
Which I am sort of mad about. I don't know why, but
I did get a kick out of it last night when he was wrestling Roddy and Marina Shafir got up in his face. I'm like, yeah, look at that look. They like, yeah, you know, we gonna be doing later, big dog. But nor here nor there. But that was the. But I am so sick of John Moxley and Death Riders. I don't want to hear about him no more. It hasn't worked. It fizzled out. Stop talking about the Death Riders.
Yeah, between that and looking at Chris Jericho, I'm so tired of looking at his horrible.
Dude, we ain't seen Jericho in months. He's rumored to be.
I was just about to say, I think I feel better about Jericho because he's not as Jericho as he was. Which I think is great. If you want to be on Ring of Honor, perfect. That's exactly what we need from Jericho.
We hadn't seen him since he dropped that title. You know, so
I
mean, he's
Ring
still
of Honor since then. But yeah,
I thought I'd seen him since then. But he just looks, and that's the one good thing with WWE. Like Tuesday night, with NXT. You know, now they're really starting to mix. You know, NXT, TNA, because now you're going to have.
I saw all the TNA on NXT. I needed to see what that.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of good TNA.
Oh, there's a lot of good TNA on NXT in the main event.
But you got Oba and Trick, you know, for the unified TNA and NXT title there. And
yeah, and y'all will get a kick out of this. Then you got little ass Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints. In the middle of these two bohemians.
Yeah.
Both of those guys have probably taken shits bigger than Ricky Starks. And whoever wins that match, Starks gets a shot at.
Oh, he's going to get a shot, all right. He's going to get a shot in his ass. And when they talked about that, they actually had some other team. They had Moose. Moose put a quote out saying, you know, I don't know why they're doing this or what they're doing. They weren't happy. Other TNA wrestlers weren't happy about it. But Moose is like, I got unfinished business with Oba. You know, I don't even know if Moose has been out hurt or what.
Honestly, Moose is one of those guys where it's like, what is happening?
Well,
he's big. He looks good. He's great in the ring.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
What's going on?
When they did that one-on-one match with him and Oba on NXT TV, I mean, I know Moose was all happy about actually, you know, performing on a WWE TV, and that's great for him. I'm glad he got that moment. But when he laid down clean for Oba, I'm like, what are we doing, man? That's as big as those guys are. That would have been the perfect opportunity for somebody to get involved one way or the other. Yep. Blah blah blah. But you know, speaking of Moose, I needed a little bit more of those Moose knuckles on Tuesday night. I needed that match to go a little bit longer. I needed that match to go just a little bit longer. Give me a little bit more Moose knuckle and Devil's Kiss. And
how about little Fallon Henley and her short shorts that she got and the
look, man, I love Fallon Henley, but once they started doing that Devil's Kiss the same time,
Henley? What did you just say?
Fallon Henley, she's a little country girl in there.
Yeah, when Rhea and Stephanie did the bangers with that was, I mean, the asses were in the air and they were bouncing. And it was just, you know, JC who, Fallon who.
Look, my nipples are getting hard. Just yeah.
Paul loved it. Paul loved it. He just won't admit it. That's all.
I'm here to watch men, big, sweaty, muscly, oily men. I'm not here for dainty little beautiful women.
If you watched NXT, you know, did you like the fact they did have Shayna Baszler in the back? I don't know if she's just going to be in the back for a little bit or give her one last run, but I guess they brought her back. But you had Finn Balor come out.
I was so glad to hear his old music.
He came out to his old music with little Pillman out there, and they punked Pillman. Just, you know, oh my God!
You know who I was almost expecting to see, because I don't know if she was just, you know, trying to get somebody to call her or whatever. But about 2 weeks ago, it was right after AJ Lee came back. Saraya Paige, whatever you want to call her, tweeted out, "Hey, Paige is ready to come home." and they're doing this homecoming stuff with NXT. I'm like, and then you see a couple of those people that you hadn't seen in a while. And you're like, damn, might we get a Page appearance? But we didn't. So I was waiting on it. But it was, for the homecoming, it was a good show.
You had to love the beginning where Triple H comes out with Shawn and says, I'm thinking about coming back. And Shawn gets in his face like, that might be a problem. And then here comes Little Miss Bliss and Charlotte Flair getting ready for their.
No. You got William Regal first. And then
Regal, that's right. Regal comes out, and then Little Miss Bliss and Charlotte come out. But the best thing of that whole thing was when Charlotte and Bliss, if you ain't down with that, we got two words for you. And of course, Shawn and Triple H are trying not to break character in the ring because they're about to lose it.
Wait,
the only thing that I didn't like was that that arena they got, there wasn't hard. There was not much of a pop because how many? What is that? 200 people, 300 people, maybe.
That's the reason they called it the homecoming. That's where NXT was for years, was Full Sail University before.
300 people, maybe
500. I think.
Be careful because I absolutely adore that little arena, and I think it has some great crowds. I wish that crowd became a little nutty, but that black and gold NXT Full Sail period, that was like the ECW crowd, like small, but intimate, and it sounded great.
The old ring rope pattern and the ring there. Now I know Paul would have been very excited. How much he loves those women coming out and everything, but it would have made Paul's night if Awesome Kong would have come back. How about that?
Look,
I'm not joking. I do love Awesome.
I ain't scared.
I
done told y'all I'd jump on Nia Jax's big ass. I ain't afraid of Awesome Kong. I ain't afraid of
her. And Gail Kim defined a generation in TNA before there was any sort of evolution. Nothing but respect for Awesome Kong.
Yeah, it was a shame that when she came in as Karma, that she got pregnant so quick because I think they would have given her a good run if that hadn't happened to her at first.
But it was a good NXT homecoming with everybody coming back. In the back you had Sammy, and you had, of course, Finn Balor came out, and it was good to see. I mean, you didn't have Seth. You didn't have Seth, who was the first ever NXT champion. He didn't come, which was a little surprising. Of course, Roman was big, and we're going to spoil bringing him back.
Wasn't there?
Charlotte did mention, the Horsemen, and she mentioned their name. Didn't mention Sasha's name, but she did mention the other. Yeah, did mention the other girl's name.
Well, you talk about the small arena. Everybody used to, like on the internet especially, talked about how empty the arenas look for AEW shows when they would go. And to me, I don't care one way or the other, but since he went to the smaller arenas, now I know when they go overseas, they get the bigger arenas because they're going to get more people. But being in America and getting those smaller, more intimate arenas, those halls that he's been getting, like being at the ECW arena, I think their TV's been amazing.
And honestly, I've been saying that for a long time because if you watch New Japan, they just do sports arenas. So you get these, it doesn't look, how WWE, no matter where they are, it looks exactly the same. You don't really get that in New Japan. It just looks like a different gym. So when you get these small, more intimate arenas, like Coker and Hall, I think only fits 1,500, but that's a staple to a culture. You know what I mean? Lots of people would die to perform in this little 1,500 person
and I don't know
arena.
I don't know if anybody.
Sometimes the small ones are just, they mean more. It's more intimate. It's
like it seemed
music,
the impact and the pop and everything at 2,300 in ECW days was just so much more than what the old Performance Center or what they were in the other night. It just seems like that crowd was just so much more. Like I said, the pop was bigger. The crowd was into it.
You can mic the pop better. In those big, massive, like 80,000 people arenas, it's like echoey. The noise just goes up. But in the little arenas, every like whistle is super loud, and it just makes it so much better.
Well, that on a quicker note, if you did not see the spot where Brock Lesnar F5'd not John but Ron Cena and split his pants on SmackDown, You need to go watch. That's a good comedy
That's-
spot.
Them off.
That was not
Blow
planned.
out the crotch.
I got blue underwear.
Yeah, but
I got blue underwear.
for all those years, people just thought Brock didn't have a personality. Once he's dry, but dude's funny. I mean, when he talks,
You get away from Heyman, he's hilarious.
Did you ever see they were talking about in general? People have been swarming wrestlers, and they said they have Brock sitting in an interview, and they say, "Well, Brock, how do you feel?" Look up that response, because honestly, Brock Lesnar is so funny.
he probably
His response. I thought he'll give a political response. No, he's like, try me.
That's what I started. He probably said, "I wish somebody would."
That's literally
some of these
word
big
for word what he
guys-
said. Yeah.
Jason and I used to say, if we were in a bar somewhere and Braun Strowman come up and said, "Hey man, you're in my seat." Yes, sir. No problem. You're just going to shoot him. But Strowman was one of the funniest guys in the back. You ask anybody, they talk about how hilarious that big, like I said, you see him in a bar, you're going to go the other way. I'm not the one to do it.
If I remember correctly, right after Brock said, "I wish somebody would," he basically said, do it to somebody else in front of me, and I'll give you the exact same response. Because apparently he was pretty pissed about people swarming Rhea. I think Sheamus got swarmed. I think there was one or two other situations. He's like, do that. He's like, you swarm Alexa Bliss in front of me. You see what happens. And it's like, I think I gotta go catch a bus somewhere.
Brock's another one. I'm a big boy and can hold my own. And Jason and I have talked about this many times. And back in the day in the club, when the guys used to come out after the shows years and years ago, but I'm not even going to contemplate. I'm just going to shoot him. There's no way I'm going to sit there. Give me Spike from Edge, and I'm not even going to contemplate trying to stand toe to toe with those guys. That's ridiculous.
Man, the Undertaker told a funny story about this, because what pisses them off, not just people bum rushing them, but they say, you'll have these collectors and shit in there that know they're in town, and they basically stalk the airport waiting to see them, and they'll have all these different stuff they want them to sign. And Taker's like, I just don't do that. He said, I was sitting there and this guy walked up and had some kind of special. He described the item. I don't know if it was a figure, a picture, what the hell, it doesn't matter. But, he said it was a very kind of rare item. And he goes, "No, man, I'm good. I don't do that." He goes, "But, if it's a child," he goes, "it's a different story." He said, "But," he goes, "the motherfucker thought I wasn't watching him." He said, "But I see this dude over there handing this kid a $20 bill and pointing at me and telling me to bring it over there to me." And he goes, "I'm just watching. He don't know I'm watching." He goes, and the kid comes over there and he goes, "He didn't know who I was." He goes, "He didn't watch us. He didn't even know who the hell I was." And he said, "I pulled a $100 bill out of my pocket." And he goes, "You go back over there. Don't do it in front of your parents, because I don't want to get you in trouble. You keep this, give him his 20 back, and tell him I said, go fuck himself." I was like, damn.
I think Kevin Owens said something about this, and I think his phrasing was, "I don't sign products." He's like, if you have a picture, you have a piece of paper and a pen, and say, "Can I have an autograph?" He's like, "Sure, I'll sign a piece of paper, no problem." He's like, "You hand me a poster or action figure," or he's like, "No," because that's going on eBay right away. He's like, no. He's like, "Yeah, little kid, maybe." But he's like, "I don't like products." He's like, "It just ruins
you
it."
talk about that. I don't remember which figure it was of Jim Cornette, but he does all that stuff on his website. And he went off on a rant about it. He said that, he put limits on how many you could buy, because he autographs all that stuff, and he will personalize it, but if you don't, he signs it your friend Jim Cornette. And he said whatever figure it was, I don't know if it was the Midnight Express pack or whatever, but it was going to be a limited edition, and he was only getting like 500 of them or something like that. But he said that he saw this guy had ordered like 20, he had paid for them, whatever, and he said then he went and he started doing a little digging, and those figures hadn't even got to him yet. He hadn't got them yet. They were on order. And he said this guy had all of them listed on eBay pre-order already. He said, I just went in and clicked cancel, and then I blocked it from my website. He goes, but yeah, people do that shit all the time, man. But yeah, that's what pisses them off. You know, they don't have any issue, you know, kids walking up to them or whatever, you know, somebody speaking to them, hey, you know, I watch you, whatever.
You want to know how I got to have a sort of this was years and years ago, how I got to have sort of a longer form conversation with a couple wrestlers before the show. Where do we got to get something to eat before we go into the show?
Yeah,
So it's like 6 o'clock, bells at 7. Oh, there's a little restaurant around the corner. We walk in, there's 5 wrestlers. There's obviously this guy's 6'6". Who's the guy from Ring of Honor? The Last Man, big mustache. Anyway.
Silas.
Silas. He's just sitting there eating. So we just kind of went, oh, they obviously saw us, see them, look at each other, laugh. These guys are fans. Okay. We just sat down. We ate some food. We looked at the card. The show looks great. Can't wait. This is exciting. And then you get a little lean over. Yeah, which match are you excited for? Oh, this one looks pretty good because Cody's in it, and I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think my match is going to be the better match. Yeah. The reason that they want to have a conversation with you is, one, you're not bugging them, but they can see that you're just, you know, you're a fan as much as they're a fan. And as long as you're not like autograph, they're willing to hang out. You know,
the best way I found out is have a couple of adult beverages.
Yep.
And then you go to the match and you go down, and wherever you're sitting, you go down to where they walk from the back to the ring. You go down the aisle, you get a chair and you stand on the chair so you're head and shoulders above everybody else. And you just mouth off to the point. I have that with.
Oh, you like get.
I have that with the nature. I have that with the Nature Boy. I did that. He was walking down the ring with it was woman and somebody else, Nancy, and I can't remember who else it was, but it was 2 of them.
Probably that's who he had with him at the time was Elizabeth and woman.
It might have been that. So I get up there, and of course, you know, I've had a couple of adult beverages, and I'm about 6 foot, so I'm standing on the chair, so I'm, you know, head and shoulders above everybody else. And I'm screaming, you know, why don't you let them women come with a real man and this, that. He looks right dead at me and gives me the big man and gave me that. And the next day when I go to work, some of the guys that cross the state that I talk with sometimes, I got like 3 or 4 phone calls. Where were you at last night? I was at a wrestling match. I saw you. And so, yeah, that's my one good face to face with the wrestler there. But that was awesome.
One of the things I figured out when I was a kid going to the Richmond Coliseum. Now Martinsville was a different story. The sheriffs, the deputies, we knew them. They'd take me in the back. I've told you all that before. But as a teenager, going to the Richmond Coliseum, a bigger venue, of course, other than the damn high school gym. You know, I forgot, I don't even know where I was walking, but I saw, you know, the kind of behind of a curtain watching the match. And I'm like, huh. So waited a little bit, walked back, and there was somebody else watching somebody else's match. And that was the one and only time that I ever met Jim Cornette. You know, like, I don't know which time it was, but I was walking somewhere and I kind of looked over to see if anybody was there. And it was when it was Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton. The 3 of them were watching somebody's match. And I just stopped, and they're like, do you need something? I'm like, I just want to hang out. And Bobby Eaton's like, well, come here then. And I'm just standing there watching the match. You know, we won't talking or nothing. And Cornette turned around, what do you think? And I'm like, well, he was like, I was talking to Dennis. I'm like, oh, well, shit, all right.
I mean, that's like when
he wasn't rude about it. It was kind of funny, but
he talks about the Richmond Coliseum. When I was a kid, you know, I am a little bit older than everybody here. I am the elder statesman.
Yeah, we know.
So back in the early to mid '80s, you know, I'm from Hampton, down in Hampton, Virginia, down the Tidewater area. Of course, we had the Hampton Coliseum and Norfolk Scope, and of course, they were always big. The Starcades at Scope, you know, Hampton Coliseum. You know, the DX Raw, WCW thing, AAA. So, you know, when I was a kid, I never got to talk to them, but they would always come to the Hampton Coliseum or Norfolk Scope for the wrestling matches. So and they weren't that big, kind of like Richmond Coliseum. So, I never got one-on-one with him close up, but I did get close enough to be able to see him, and I could throw like, hey, how you doing, Ellie? And it's be on their way. But I'm 15, 14, I'm just a kid thinking, oh man, this is awesome. Seeing, in the mid 80s, you had Dusty and you had Flair and you had, Nikita. And of course, Magnum TA was from down there. He's from the beach, but that was cool about him. That was cool about the Coliseum and Scope, because that was such a, back then, it was the Omni, it was the Greensboro Coliseum, and it was Norfolk Scope. That's where they had all the big shows, back then, the Starcades and stuff. And so you had all the major talent and all the big matches were there to see. And it was just really cool. Of course, like I say, I was a kid, so.
I think I've told you all this before, but out of all of them I met, besides my experience with Roddy Piper, what preface was that? Jerry Briscoe, still to this day, my interaction with Jerry Briscoe still makes me laugh. That's because when him and Jack were dirty, they were the heels, the bad guys, beating up on Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. You hear all the old school guys talk about getting stuff pulled on them or getting their tires flattened or all that stuff. We come out of the high school gym, and I see Jack and Jerry Briscoe standing over there, and they got 4 flat tires. Well, here goes my little ass running over there trying to get an autograph. And I'm like, hey, man, can I have your autograph? I said, excuse me, sir. I don't want to. Excuse me, sir. Can I have your autograph? And my mom's like, Jason, get over here. They're busy. God bless Jerry Briscoe. He looked right at her. He said, ma'am, he's fine. It ain't like we're going anywhere. And every time I think about it, it makes me laugh because he was just so dry. Ain't like we're going anywhere.
Santa Claus rule.
Now, wait a minute.
You're a little kid. You don't know any better. Sure.
I thought your interaction. Who was it in the bar that night? Was it the Honky Tonk Man?
That was Ric Flair.
No, you had didn't you have a thing with the Honky Tonk Man in the bar one night?
Yeah,
he went home with the Honky Tonk Man.
They brought him in.
There you go.
Did he honk while you tonked? Is that what's going on?
I mean, he was, he looks kind of like a lot of them. He looked a lot bigger on TV. I was about that much taller than he was, and that kind of
finish. I love his finish.
That kind of hurt my childhood. Like, damn. Yeah, he just a little dude.
It was a shake, rattle, and roll, right?
Yeah, the neck breaker. No, I mean he was. All right, y'all know that I've told y'all before that between Otis Senior over there and myself, we probably got about 60 years worth of experience in the memory and buttocks bar, DJing, and kind
of like TNA.
I was like, guys, it's not that kind of show. I know, I got some.
And the people that bought the bar later down the road, who neither one of us cared for. And if you're listening, I hope you are, assholes. But
they're cared for. Is that what? Anyway?
No, we did not care for the people that bought the bar from the owner that we worked for, and then they would still call us back occasionally because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. But anyway, they would bring different people there, and it's like, why are you bringing the Honky Tonk Man to the strip club? Nobody's gonna want to come to the strip club and see the Honky Tonk. But they brought him, and he was there on Friday. And I talked to him, and the belt he brought with him, go figure, was the WCW big gold belt. You would think he would have brought a replica Intercontinental title with him because that's what he was known for. But no, he had
it's probably gold. It's probably easier to find the big gold belt replica than it was an IC belt replica.
They're all over the damn internet. They have been for a while. But anyway, that's what he had with him. I took a picture with him. We talked, and they asked me, would I take him to one of their other bars on Saturday? We'll pay you. I'm like, whatever. He goes, yeah, they're doing a baby oil contest that he's going to be judging. Man, we get out there, and
what are they doing to those babies?
We look at it. He looked at me. He goes, where in the hell are we? I'm like, man, just come on. This is not one of the better bars that he owns. And these girls get up there. They're having matches to get to the finals. It's a wonder one of them didn't kill one of the other ones, because they're up there doing this baby oil wrestling. And this one girl, so I don't remember exactly what happened at the beginning of the match, but she screamed, "Hold on!" I mean, like the police telling a crowd to back up or something. So that girl just kind of looked at her. This girl ripped her wig off and threw it down on the ground and then speared her. I thought she had done killed her. He looked at me. He said, "Oh dear God, what is this?" I'm like, "I tried to tell you." He goes, "That's my winner. Let's get the hell out of here." I said, "Come on." Yeah. But I mean, like, real nice guy. I mean, he real nice guy.
Now, Paul. This was back when the guys used to come to Richmond, and then they'd go out afterwards.
Is this back when you like your feet would go through the floor of the car and you'd have to push it with your feet?
Maybe.
Close.
Yep.
I had the Fred
For those of you who don't know,
I had the Fred
Flintstone
Flintstone parked out front, So, but no, we had, Undertaker was in there, Paul White, Shawn Michaels, Scott Steiner, some of the others, and then there was another. Who was that feature that her man or her husband or
St. Clair and the Blue Meanie?
The Blue Meanie.
That's when he lost all the weight and he was the Blue Boy, and I thought he was going to get us shot in the middle of Richmond City.
The Blue Meanie, Paul. There you go.
The Blue Meanie's been in some great movies, by the way. And when I mean great, I'm being sarcastic. They're actually quite terrible. But I like the Blue Meanie from
Oh no, he was
all
funny,
records. He seems charming and
like I said, he was funny, but I thought he was going to get a shot in the middle of Richmond City.
Make a shot of something. I don't know, but
no, one of the times I picked him up from the hotel, I picked him up because he would always come before she did, and because she got a percentage of the door, so he would stay there, and he would
count the door, yes.
And when we started charging the cover, we started charging at 7, so he would get there right at 7.
Means the taxes.
And then, but there was a little raceway gas station right there. Hey man, can you stop so I can get a couple of things? I'm like, yeah, sure. And of course, all these people are sitting down on the sidewalk looking like they've been high for 3 days, and you just keep your mouth shut and walk on in the damn gas station, call it a day. Well, he decides to stop and look at half of them and go, "What are you staring at? You ain't never seen no white motherfucker with blue hair before?" I said, "God, come on." I said, this ain't the time to play, man. Come on.
Somebody's about to get capped.
I got there. So, man, I ain't going to get him no more. He done hurt my feelings.
Those were interesting times where the guys used to come. I remember Scott Steiner, when he was real jacked up on his stuff, he got thrown out of the gym because he wouldn't get off an apparatus, let somebody else use it. And about 4 people throwing his ass out the door.
Well, I said my piece on the Death Riders earlier. Steve, you got anybody you're tired of seeing or hearing about?
I mean, there's a couple things that I'm getting a little tired. I know they're best friends and everything. I'm tired of the Rusev and Sheamus thing.
I think we're done with that. I think that was the blow off. So
yeah, I've seen that enough. And I've told you this before. I'm definitely tired of seeing, Braun and them come out and, beat the snot out of whether it's LA Knight and Jimmy, and then Jay comes out, I'm tired of seeing all that.
Oh, so shit. Yeah, I forgot that matches. They got that match for this Saturday.
Yeah, they got that match Saturday. But, there's a couple things that I am interested in, because the one rumor that they have, I don't know if you guys heard or not, but the rumor is that Randy Orton's going to be the special guest referee in the Cody and Drew match.
Is that? Are they having that this Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. Yeah, I mean they've been talking about Randy turning heel for a while. So,
well, this is the opportunity for him to do it and for him to get into the pay-per-view, because Cody was doing his movie and they didn't know if he was going to be back in enough time to have the match with Drew. Well, now he is, and because Orton was on the back burner, it was going to be Randy and Drew, and now that Cody's back, Randy's out. So now they're like, well, let's thrust Randy in as a special guest referee, and then that would be a perfect scenario for Randy to make his heel turn.
Well, it was announced today that kicking off WrestlePalooza will be John Cena and Brock Lesnar. That will be the first match of the night. So
there they go again with these. It was like the last two they had Roman start off.
If it's the first match, I'll sort of forgive it, because it's like you're letting the rest of the roster get the rest of the shine. You know what I mean? Like the young guys can have the main event. I couldn't give a crap about this match.
Well, not giving a crap. So he's tired of Rusev and Sheamus. I'm tired of the Death Riders, but a shout out to the Young Bucks. I appreciate you finally for this work you've been doing with these guys and the whole stuff you got going on with Justin Roberts. You actually have had me laughing for the past few months, and I thank you. I applaud you, Young Bucks, for it. So, Paul, what are you tired of? You got to be tired of something.
I think a lot of the stuff I'm tired of are more like historical or specific. Like, did you know that everyone complains about the modern New Japan belt and about how the last iteration of the belt was the better belt? It's been like 2 years. I'm so sick of it. But here's two like good examples of things that I'm like, if I could go my whole life with never hearing about what killed WCW. We've heard it a million times. There's been like 10 books. There's how many shows and movies and whatever. Every so often, people get caught in that conversation. Oh, blah, blah. And it's like, oh my God, I can't. And it's like that's a little bit comedic. But this one, if I never, ever have to hear about CM Punk and Jungle Boy, I can deal with them separately. But that one story of them in the back and the fight and the real glass, never want to hear it ever.
Where did you hear that the last time? Because to me, it's been, unless you were, I'm sure we have been, but
I want to say it was brought up on here, and I think either see people call to it because they either don't like Punk or they don't like Jungle Boy, and they use this moment as this like, oh, it's Punk's fault. Oh, it's Jungle Boy's fault.
It might have been Danny, because when she goes off on her tangents about the Young Bucks,
that might be it. And it's
she ties all their friends in with
it's a very specific example, but it's like I don't ever want to hear about this. It's like at best you're just rehashing a conversation we've had a million times, and at worst you might lose a friend. Like, not, literally, but it's like, I'm done. I don't, you know what I mean? Like,
I hadn't heard much about that. I may not have been on that time, but I hadn't heard much about that in quite a while.
Yeah, well, it's done. It's over with. I mean, it's water under the bridge, under the dam, wherever the fuck the water goes. I mean, they both moved on. If you watch,
it's been a year or something, but it's been
over 2, because Punk's been back a year and a half.
Wrestling fans just love the he said, she said. Oh,
they love stirring the pot. They want to stir the pot and stuff,
And okay, so the one thing,
of Jungle Boy, I think they're getting ready to put the Jurassic Express back together.
Oh, that'd be a waste. I like Scapegoat Jack Perry. I think he did great work with House of Torture. Like,
you're done. I'm pretty sure that you're done with that. Now, did you not see the last episode of Talking Elite? Not Talking Elite, but shit. What's the show?
The Elite. No, I didn't see I don't watch the YouTube show. No.
All right. Well, I don't watch it, but I'll catch clips. But apparently, and I didn't know this till then, that Jack Perry, since he's been out, his hiatus, one of the things he took up or he knew how to do, he's been making knives and selling them online. And the way that being the Elite or the Young Bucks YouTube show went off the other day, Matt's sitting there and he gets his package. And he opens it, and it's this big bayonet knife. And, he pulls it out and looks at it and like, and he sticks it on the table. And then he pulls out, there's a letter in there with it. And it said, here, let me provide you the knife for the next time you decide to stab me in the back. So Jungle Boy's on his way back. Will he be Jungle Boy? Will he be Jack Perry? Will he be Jungle Boy Jack Perry? And then if you watched Dynamite last night, you saw, Luchasaurus kind of give the middle finger to Kip Sabian during that tag team match. I wish they would just hurry up and start calling him Luchasaurus again. The kill switch doesn't make any sense now that they're away from Christian.
And that's someone else's name too. So not only is it the name of a finisher, someone else entirely had that name. So when you say kill switch, I think of Swerve Strickland, because that Swerve was called Kill Switch in Lucha Underground and made a big name for himself. So it's way more confusing than it needs to be. Just switch the name to something else.
But there's stuff like, I'm kind of like y'all. I mean, there's really not a lot that I care about seeing this weekend. I mean, I think the Edge and Christian FTR match will be a good tag team match. I wouldn't mind watching the match. Like I said, they piqued my curiosity with Kyle Fletcher last night. Not that I see Adam Page losing the title, but they did a good job of going, damn, are they going to put this on Kyle Fletcher already? And then, like I said, I think Toni Storm's going to lose that title tomorrow, Saturday night. I don't know if she'll actually, take the pin or the submissions per se, but being a 4-way, and then, the Death Riders. Oh God, I said, yeah. They come out and took Chris Statlander off with them last night. She finally left with them.
Stop saying the Death Riders.
Yeah.
Now there is one more name. There's one more name real quick, and this might make people mad or whatever, and I'm just going to say it. I'll be done with it. I'm sick of hearing from him. I'm sick of seeing reports. I'm sick of seeing podcasting. I am sick of Matt Riddle.
Okay, yeah. No, I can kind of feel you on that one.
Bro.
I'm just, the Orton and Riddle thing, it did work for a little bit, and then Riddle, for whatever reason, whatever his issues are, whatever, and now he thinks he's either God's gift. He won't shut up. He's got to comment about everybody. I'm sick of Matt Riddle.
Yeah, I saw where he had words with some promoter or something, but I also saw where he was apparently, I believe it was CM Punk, he was talking a bunch of shit about.
He did.
And
he talked about how AJ Lee got around. Paul and I had talked about this before when we were talking about areas you really don't go to. The Tiffy and Charlotte thing about Tiffy saying about Charlotte, your matches are like your marriages and whatever.
And even like Reed, yeah.
Yeah, there's just like we talked about, I think, with Goldberg's kid when Gunther's in. You just got to watch the boundaries. But Riddle come right out and just out of the blue, I don't like Punk, this. And he's sitting there bad-mouthing AJ Lee, who gets one of the biggest pops and still one of the greatest lines. I'm your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. That was
classic. That's a David Starr line. But yeah, that's a great
line. That's a great line, she said.
Well, I don't know how many people pay attention to it, but the three names that I heard over the past however many years it was, you can throw them in there that got around in the locker room was actually men. It was Cena, CM Punk, and Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy seemed to like he was going through that whole damn Divas roster there for a while, once him and Lita broke up. And, I know, he dated Ashley Mazzaro, God bless her soul. That was the three that I heard that, Cena was doing his thing and not being his all-American boy character on TV. And then you had, like I said, Matt Hardy was just going through them left and right, and CM Punk getting around while he was there too. So that's the three names I heard.
I had heard some rumors too that Hogan was a little frisky in the back. And I mean, my God, how can you not put Vince McMahon in that? You got to put Vince McMahon on that list for God's sake.
I brought up those three guys because you don't hear negativity associated with it. You don't hear any of those women coming out and saying what, how rough it was.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, because there's stories of like younger Shawn Michaels that a couple women have come out and gone, yeah, maybe don't dump me naked in the lobby, blah blah blah, and it's like that sounds pretty bad. But yeah.
And the plane trip from hell with Flair in his robe and nothing on underneath sitting there.
Yeah, like that had happened a million times.
But no one's complaining about Rasputin, is all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well,
the women love them,
when Shawn Michaels and Tammy Sitch, Sonny was doing their thing, I'd never heard it before, but they were doing I forgot which, it might have been one of the Dark Side of the Ring things, but they were talking to her. But yeah, it was because it was on. No, that wasn't it because she didn't participate. She was doing an interview with somebody. You don't hear another where it was, but they were talking about when they went to the back when Shawn was doing the whole, whatever gimmick, and apparently they went in the back to do an interview with him, and he somehow during the interview finagled himself inside her, like under a towel or something. She was sitting on his lap, and he finagled himself to pop it right in there while he was actually being interviewed. I'm like, I ain't mad at you, bro. Do your thing.
That was like when Sean brought up, and Paul, I'm sorry, being Canada's greatest export, but when Sean brought up the Sonny thing to Bret Hart, that was really pushing some boundaries there, talking about stuff like that.
Bret swears to this day that they did not have anything romantic going on. They were just friends.
I think Bret is too much of a curmudgeon. I think he wouldn't. You know what I mean? I gotta pay for how many beds in this room? Nah. I think he'd be one of those people. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, what if you and me shared a room? Yeah, but if we got 5-6 people, it would be cheaper for all of us. God damn it, Brett, you stupid.
All right, we're gonna end it with it. We go end it with this. There's all kinds of matches this weekend. Off the top of your head, we're not gonna run through the whole cards. Just Steve, out of all the matches this weekend, pick one that could end in a surprise. What's your possible surprise that could happen this weekend?
The possible surprise, I think. I mean, I'm looking forward, obviously, to the Seth and Becky, AJ, and Punk match. But I think the surprise match, I think you're going to finally see Bianca, sorry about that. Bianca come out and turn against Jade and cost Jade the title. I think they're finally going to have, because that's been in talks. Bianca,
are they doing that again tomorrow night, on Saturday night too? Damn, how many matches do we have?
Oh, there's a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot.
I've been not used to their 4 to 5 match pay-per-views here lately, so. Okay.
It's the big one on ESPN, so they wanted, a bunch of good matches, but supposedly I think Bianca would be the surprise to come out, cost Jade the match, turn heel. With Naomi gone, they've talked about the Bianca and Jade for quite a while. Now this is a perfect time to set it up. Or Orton as a special guest referee, and he gets his heel turn, which is crazy. Orton's a great heel, but he could go either way. He's just as popular
with him and Cody ever since Randy came back. They've been teasing that with him and Cody, with Randy looking at the belt. So I don't know. I ain't mad at it, but like I said, I'm not sure how shocked I would be with either one of those. But what do you think?
He's got to get 15. Remember, Cena said he wants to shake the hand of the man that gets 18, and Orton's got 4 more to go. So Orton's got to start winning these belts, to try to get to that. And Flair actually came out and said he didn't mind Cena get it, but if Flair had his druthers, he'd want Randy to beat his record.
What is your possible surprise of the weekend, Paul?
Okay, I'm going to push the boundaries of your question a little bit. I think the big surprise coming up in the next week is, I think, the best match in the next week is going to be MJF versus Mystico at the CMML event on. I just had the date here.
Oh yeah, it's because MJF
at the September 25th.
It's mask versus title, so
it's on Thursday. So it's a little bit out of the weekend, but it's on the horizon. And I thought, that's a show people don't talk about, but they're really trying with CMML. They're a lot of good workers. They're sending AEW guys down. So I have a feeling MJF's going to have his working pants on, his big boy boots. So I think that's going to be a fantastic match.
Well, okay. Before I get to my possible shocker of the week, for me, did you watch any of the AAA stuff last week after we got done?
The AAA stuff? No, I did not.
Because it was live. So like I said, I was sitting there kind of half-ass watching while we were doing this.
I did see some of that, and I was going to bring that up earlier with Dominik and Ray coming out, putting the belt on him. Now Dom's got 2.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. WWE officially put their stamp. We own you now. They put their stamp on AAA by having Dominik. Now, it was a lot of interference. It wasn't a clean, flat, loss for Vikingo, but they put their stamp on AAA. We own it now, and put the belt on Dominik. And you want to see something funny? Watch Finn bring out his demon puppet with Mr. Iguana. That's kind of comical to watch, but so yeah, I mean, it was worth watching. It was a good match with Vikingo and Dominik. I think Dominik, you hear a lot of people talk about him. I didn't care for him a whole lot when they first brought him in as the short hair and I'm tag team champions with Daddy. I didn't care for that version of Dom, but this heel version has grown on me, and
he's just so over right now, man. I just can't get over how over he is. But what I would be interested in is with them doing that and bringing Ray back into picture. Once Ray gets cleared from his injury, I think you're going to see a Ray and Dom feud there.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, they were saying Thursday night last week that Ray never won the AAA title, and it was because back then it was a weight limit on it, and he couldn't challenge for it back then. So I think you're going to see them put that AAA title on Ray down the road before he retires, just so he can say he had it, and that will probably go over real well, in Mexico for Ray to take that title. So, but yeah, I mean, it was worth watching. But all right, we gonna finish it up with my possible shock of the weekend, and that would be me saying, "Okay, Tony, you hooked me last night," and putting the belt on Kyle Fletcher. And I'll be honest with you, y'all know how, if you watched this show with me on it for a while, you know how I feel about Hangman Adam Page.
Motherfucking superstar.
I cannot stand that fucker. You think Danny hates the Young Bucks. I cannot stand Adam Page. I just don't.
I didn't know anybody could hate anything more than Danny hates the Young Bucks.
I don't get it with him. I can see the appeal for, TNT, Intercontinental type.
I'm not a fan of Hangman either.
I love Hangman.
I don't see the main event caliber in Hangman, but I don't see the appeal in keeping the god awful Death Riders around as long as they have either. But that's just me. So again, that's my possible shocker of the week. And honestly, the one, we've seen Brock and Cena, 18 times before. And
I feel like we saw that 15 years ago. You know what I mean?
It's like with the Usos, they're teasing that little bit of dissension there and the LA Knight stuff. They're trying to get the vision over, so I can't see them letting the Bronze lose to the Usos, even though the Usos will go down as one of the top tag teams of all time when they're done. Whether you like them or not, that's just the run they've had. You got,
unfortunately.
Well, and this is kind of where I'm going with the rest of it, because like CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth and Becky. If Seth and Becky win, where do you go? There's nowhere to go if Seth and Becky win.
They're not going to. AJ Lee's going to pin Becky.
Well, and then that sets up AJ versus Becky for the Intercontinental title and Seth versus Punk for the World title. You can keep it going. Stephanie Vacour and Io Sky for the women's title, vacant women's title, where Naomi had to give it up. To me, they can do whatever they want. To me, you cannot let Stephanie lose that match. Io's had it a couple of times already. When she loses it, she's able to pop back. Stephanie's on fire. The crowd loves her. Take away my perverted comments out of the equation.
How about a surprise match? Stephanie Vacour versus Jason B. Ingram.
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that L every time. I'm gonna lay down every time for her. But like I said, she can devil kiss me. But she can devil kiss me. But I'm laying this way, Jack. You ain't getting. You're gonna sit right there, baby. But
Paul loves it.
Like I say, Edge and Christian against FTR. I think it'll be a great tag team match. Edge and Christian, for their age, they still move well together. They got great chemistry. They always have. FTR, they might be boring as far as promos and entertainment value, but they are a good tag team. Like I said, Tony, I see Tony losing the belt because she's done beat everybody. She needs something fresh to come up with. Take a break. Baldy's defending her title against somebody. She'll keep it. That's just the way it's going to go. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. No,
I don't think so.
And like I said, I come on, Kyle, you can do it. Come on, Mr. Fletcher, you can do this. You can do it.
Honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, and Paul hates it because he loves Paige. Both AEW Adams. I can't stand Cole and I can't stand Paige. I can't stand either one of them.
All right, we'll end it. We'll end this. I loved Adam Cole in Ring of Honor and NXT. And I understand why he left, because Vince wanted him to cut his hair and come out there and manage Keith Lee, who we haven't seen since Earth Cool, wherever he's been.
He's been ill as far as I know.
And, and I understand every reason in the world that Adam Cole left. Take Britt out of the equation. A lot of people blamed it that he wanted to go be with his girlfriend. But, Triple H was out with his stuff then. And that was Vince's, vision for Adam Cole, was to cut his hair off and come, manage Keith Lee. Kind of what they tried to do with LA Knight, bringing him up, bringing him from NXT up to SmackDown as Max Dupree. And, once Triple H took back over, that's when, I've heard interviews with him. He said he went to Triple H and said, do me one of two favors. Just cut me or let me do my thing. And then if I can't do anything within a few months and you don't see it going anywhere, then you release me. I can't do this.
Adam Cole wanted to be the next Shawn Michaels so bad, and he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it.
The NXT Black and Gold version of Adam Cole did. I don't know what has happened to him, how he is winded up so snake bitten with injury and just just all the bad stuff. I mean, for God's sake, his injury. I mean, the power bomb with Kyle Fletcher, that I can see, but I mean, look at the bad luck he's had. I mean, when he broke his ankle, just running down to do a run in an MJF match, and he breaks his ankle, not doing anything. I know freak accidents happen. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it happens everywhere, but he's just been so snake bitten since he got to AEW. He hasn't had
150 pounds soaking wet, baby.
No, he wasn't. I mean, I know he looked a lot better in NXT than he did
in the early days. Yeah.
Well, even before he left, but he wasn't 200 pounds in NXT, but he was in good shape. But that's about it. Winding it down. That's our surprise picks for the week. And maybe next week when we come back, we'll have a new AEW World Heavyweight Champion and the Proto Star, Kyle Fletcher. For Steve, for Paul, my name is Jason. We'll see you.